Good evening. Welcome to Perrysburg City Council of June 28, 2022. This is rescheduled from the Great Race, which was last Tuesday, which was a big success. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but first roll call.
Mr. Fuller.
Here.
Mr. Coleman.
Here.
Ms. Materney. Here. Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Here.
Mr. Weber.
Here. If you're able, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Minutes of the council meeting of June 7th.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a copy of the minutes, and I believe everyone has received a copy of those. So unless there's any objections, we'll consider the Perrysburg City Council meeting of June 7th as passed.
Thank you. Special reports, we have no special reports. Letters, communications, citizens' concerns. Any citizens have any concerns not related to specific items on the agenda? Microphone. Yeah, I'm taking that as a no. All right, administrative report. Well, I'll lead with the best thing. And there's lots of good things, but I'm going to lead with the best thing. I'd like to acknowledge Judy Hagan and present her with a proclamation. I will save everybody from all the whereases, but basically everybody who knows Judy knows she worked tirelessly for the city of Perrysburg to make it a better place, to look nicer, and also to be a nicer place. And she's been an integral part of the community and has started and continued a lot of programs that have really made a difference, from yard waste to recycling to the fishing derby to clean the parks every year. And we've got lots of people compliment us on how clean the parks look every spring, and that is because of her tireless efforts to organize and get that happen. So I am ecstatic to be able to present her with a presentation that she can read on her own time to see how wonderful she really is. Best pictures, or wherever he tells me to go. Look at the council scatter.
Look at the council scattered this year.
Okay, look right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
With some hesitation, I'll let her say it. Do you want to say anything? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh,
Do you want to say anything?
well, no, but it's been a privilege to work for this city for 26 years.
Please come to the microphone. We want to.
Yeah.
You're in the spotlight, Judy.
Oh, I have to say my name and address. Judy Hagan, 10741 Avenue Road.
Excellent.
It's been a privilege, 26 years. It's been fun. And today was the first time in 26 years I had to sign in as a visitor to the municipal building. It's kind of a sad thing, but in a way, it's a glad thing. So I thank you for working with all of you, and it's been a wonderful 26 years.
Judy, I just want to, I can't not say something. Judy, before I got involved in the city, I would hear mostly John Echo say, Judy did this, Judy did it. Judy. I never knew who Judy was. I obviously thought he was made up because there can't be one person that does that many things. But then since I've been involved in the city, it's just been such a pleasure to get to know you and find out just everything you've done, and it was fun working with you too.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Thank you.
The rest of the mayor's report, the Great Race was last week, and it was a big success. And on behalf of the city, I want to thank the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Christine Best for all of her hard work, and the same with the Chamber of Commerce, working together to make that possible. Also, all the efforts of the sponsors that contributed. There were so many sponsors, I'm not going to list them all, but it couldn't have happened without the sponsors and all the volunteers and many of the council members' hard work and diligence helping feed the racers. Everybody chipped in, and I think that's a testament to why Perrysburg is a great place to live. Everybody was willing to do whatever needed to be done. Consistent with that, on Sunday, we also had recognized, League of Women Voters recognized two individuals and one group for all they do for the city of Perrysburg. The clothesline at St. Tim's for the service they provide to those in need.
You are the only participant in the conference.
It's a good thing
Please
we also
press any key on your keypad to remain in the conference.
Vicki Gallagher, who does a lot of urban gardening and has started a whole bunch of initiatives, and that's really made a difference in the community. And also Rick Ruffner for all he does on Friday nights, and he also contributed to making the Great Race a big success. So it's my pleasure to do that as well. I'd also report that we swore in 4 new police officers this Monday, which is always a great event to see the police officers with their families and to see them fit into the team. So we're excited to have them on board. We're also excited to see their families, because it's a team effort. That service is really a team effort. So with that, I have one more step. I would like to appoint Jack Neg, Perrysburg High School student who survived his freshman basketball coach, to serve on the Litter Prevention and Recycling Board. Student term begins this month and expires next year. He's already met with the service committee, and they voted 3-0 to appoint him to the position, and he really is an outstanding young man. So I'm excited to recommend him to the rest of council to serve on the committee.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Thank you. City Administrator.
I don't have a report, but I also would like to thank Ms. Hagan. I remember my first encounter with her. She came into my office, and I think she had a binder like this big. And she went through every program and service and all the services, recycling. I've learned so much about her from recycling that I still can't retain everything. And every time I look at her spreadsheet, Judy, I'll think of you, and I'll have to call you because you have that down and the analytics down, and I can never quite remember what your formulas meant. So look out, I may be calling you in the near future.
Finance Director.
No report.
Law Director.
No report.
President of Council.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to echo your statements on the Great Race. That was a phenomenal event. I know Councilman Weber and I both got to meet with a county commissioner from New Jersey as well. But we had I think I saw probably every one of us up there out and about, people volunteering and helping. And I can't say how great an event that was, and what the Visiting Convention Bureau is working with, and everyone else that really worked hard to put that together. And Judy, thanks again for all your work, and hopefully we give you an application to get on one of our boards. I don't think you're done yet. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Committee reports. Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Finance and Economic Development Committee met June 14th, 2022. The meeting was called to order at 5:32 p.m. by Chairman Mark Weber. Committee members present were myself and Jonathan Smith. Committee member Tim McCarthy was not present. Also present were Amber Rathburn, Finance Director, Kayla Trego, Deputy Finance Director, and Kate Sandretto, Law Director. There were no objections, so minutes of April 12th meeting were approved. Certificate of Estimated Revenues, Ms. Rathburn explained that this is a housekeeping item and that every year they have to submit to Wood County their estimated balances for the end of the current year, and then an estimate of what they think they will collect the following year. This is due by July 20th, 2022, so Ms. Sandretto would like this legislation passed as an emergency. There being no objections, the committee is recommending this 2-0 to City Council. Property liability insurance renewal, Ms. Rathburn explained that she was expecting to get 3 quotes, but only received 1 proposal from Highland, which is the city has been with since 2004. She added that a lot of other cities in the area are insured by them as well. Ms. Rathburn explained that the rate only went up 3%. However, they look at the budget, number of employees, and property values, which have all gone up. This means that the increase of $21,014 is not only due to the rate, but what the city has insured. With this renewal policy, there are 2 improvements in coverage. Police vehicles would be replaced at current replacement value, and the city will receive rebates through Lexipol. Ms. Rathburn added that the city is at $1 million for cyber liability insurance, which is the most they can get through Highland. She has submitted an application for coverage for social engineering to see what amount the city could get. Mr. Smith stated that municipalities are one of the number one targets when it comes to cyber attacks. Mr. Smith asked if there is any additional coverage we could add on for excess cyber liability coverage. Ms. Rathburn will see what other companies Highland works with and how they could integrate additional coverages together. There being no objections, the committee is recommending this 2-0 to City Council. The Finance Director's report, Mr. Smith wanted to know about the large income tax payment that the city has received and if there are any updates on this and will need to be refunded. Ms. Rathburn answered that there are still not any updates on that and that they're still waiting to hear back from the state. There were 2 large prior receipts totaling $1.4 million in question. So year-to-date figures on the monthly tax report are high by that amount. Ms. Rathburn explained, but I had asked, she explained, I had asked if they could have let me stop at that, period. Mark Weber, had asked if they could have a column stating in a resolution or ordinance, if a resolution or ordinance was passed for the items on the expenditures over the $5,000 report that we go over monthly. And Ms. Rathburn said that yes, they will be adding this with the new software system. It makes our job a lot easier just to remember what these expenses were they originated. A lot of times they came through council. In other business, Mr. Smith wanted to talk about the bill regarding Airbnbs. Ms. Sandretto will do some research regarding this. I and Mr. Smith added that we just talked about this with Perrysburg CVB board. Ms. Sandretto explained that this is discussed internally pretty regularly and the code is already drafted, so it becomes a monitoring issue. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 5:52 p.m. And so I have 1 resolution and 1 ordinance to introduce. I would like to introduce Resolution 53-2022 and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only and to dispense with the 2nd and 3rd readings.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 53, 2022, authorizing the purchase of insurance through Ohio Plan Risk Management, Inc. at a cost not to exceed $186,144 and declaring an emergency.
I move that Resolution 53-2022 be passed as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call?
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
I would like to introduce ordinance 41-2022 and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only and to dispense with the 2nd and 3rd readings.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ordinance 41, 2022, an ordinance authorizing submission of an estimate of revenues to the Wood County Budget Commission for the budget year beginning January 1st, 2023, and declaring an emergency.
I move that ordinance 41-2022 be passed as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call?
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes. Okay, the next meeting for Finance and Economic Development is scheduled for Tuesday, July 12th at 5:30 p.m. may or may not happen. I get back in town in time, but also we may or may not have agenda items, so stay tuned. And that's ends my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Safety Committee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There is no report. Our next scheduled meeting will be July 26th at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Recreation?
Thank you, Mayor. We do have a report here. We met on June 14th at 6:35 p.m. With myself, Barry Van Dusen, and Corey Coleman present. Also present was Kate Sandretto, law director, and Brody Walters, our planning and zoning administrator. We immediately I'll skip a couple things on here, but Three Meadows Pond Erosion Control Bid Award. Ms. Sandretto explained that this is to continue with the erosion plan for Three Meadows Pond and will install erosion reduction on the rest of the north bank along the east bank to the beach area. There will also be at least one additional water access, similar to a kayak launch, installed to allow citizens easier access to water to fish. Excuse me. Ms. Sandretto further explained that the lowest and best bid was Marquinhos Construction at $141,933.68, with a 5.6 contingency for a total of $150,000. There being no objections, the committee recommended this 3-0 to council. We went to discussion of multi-use paths. Mr. Walters stated that he was involved in the process of creating the original map of the multi-use path and setting some of the priorities. He explained that they outlined all the points of interest throughout the city and looked at ways to connect those through the grid system. The 3 priorities currently are Louisiana Avenue, Indiana Avenue, and the extension of Echo Junction Road, primarily from Louisiana Avenue west towards the river. Mr. Smith would like to connect our park systems using the multi-use paths. Mr. Walters explained that there are different levels of multi-use path infrastructures, which will take you to proximity of all points of interest, but not necessarily directly there. Mr. Smith was curious if the city had talked to Teamcon or Perrysburg Township about connecting Kearney to Roachton. Mr. Walters is aware that they have had a conversation with ODOT in regards to the 199 bridge. Mr. Smith would like to get this in the hands of the service committee as well to see what it would cost our multi-use paths as they work on the roads. Dog park discussion. Mr. Smith explained that PrAC gave suggestions of which parks would be best for a potential dog park location in the city. PrAC's 3 location recommendations in order are Three Meadows, Orleans, and behind the service building near the water tower. PrAC will also go over Orleans Park Master Plan at a future PrAC meeting, which is going to be discussing the dog park. Their sole concern with Orleans Park as an option is accessibility. There may be options in the Orleans Park Master Plan that could alleviate this concern. Mr. Van Dusen likes the idea of Three Meadows because some people could access the park by walking from their homes. Mr. Coolman is inclined to listen to PrAC's suggestion. Ms. Sandretto stated that 4 separate spaces are recommended, 1 for small dogs, 1 for large dogs, and 2 additional to rotate the turf, because dog parks are really hard on the ground. Mr. Coolman stated the goal for the next committee meeting should be to identify a space within Three Meadows Park that a dog park would fit. An update on ARPA funds in relation to the playground equipment. Mr. Smith said the ARPA funds in relation to the playground equipment are out for proposal right now. Mr. Walters explained that the proposal itemizes the pieces needed and they can bid acceptable alternatives as other companies make similar products. There will be bid specifications for municipal, Ford Imagination / Woodland Park, and Bicentennial wrapped up and out for bid soon. In other business, Mr. Walters mentioned for the Orleans Park Master Plan that the intention is to present this at a committee of the whole meeting so that all questions may be answered. Our next scheduled meeting will be July 12th at 6:30 p.m. And I do have one resolution. So I'd like to introduce Resolution 54, 2022, and move the rules be suspended to allow first reading by number and title only, and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni? Yes. Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 54, 2022, resolution awarding a bid and agreement to Marquinhos Construction in the amount of $141,933.68 for creation of rock channel reduction on the northern bank of Three Meadows Pond and declaring an emergency.
All right, I move that Resolution 54-2022 be passed as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni? Yes.
All right, that is the end of my report.
Thank you. Planning and zoning, do we want to it's your call. Do you want to move to the other items which are not, or do you want to let's just do plans?
Thank you, Your Honor. We have no report specifically. We have met. We meet again on July 6, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. And we do have a resolution before us, 58-2022, to adopt a new land use plan. That plan has been revised. I think all you saw that, to reflect the discussion we had at our, I guess it would have been the committee of the whole meeting, to, I'll use the shorthand, to adopt the jagged line boundary, if you will, between the commercial development on 25 and the Heights residential community. And the textual discussion also was modified to emphasize that the existing Heights neighborhood should remain residential with improved neighborhood amenities and vehicular non-motorized connections. I've looked over it. I think, again, it says the primary element of the plan recommendations is to preserve and protect existing residential home sites from the commercial practitioners that have and will likely continue along the State Route 25 commercial corridor. As I read it, and as I looked at the map that accompanied the revised plan, benefit of council and the audience, I believe it's consistent with what we said at our committee of the whole meeting to, in essence, follow the recommendations or thoughts of the Heights residents and preserve the residential character of the Heights to the fullest extent possible. With that having been said, I'll go ahead and introduce the resolution to at least get it formally on the table for discussion. And therefore, I'd like to introduce Resolution 58-2022 and move the rules be suspended to allow for reading by number and title only and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 58, 2022, a resolution adopting a new land use plan for the city of Perrysburg.
I would then move that Resolution 58-2022 be passed.
Second.
Discussion.
One question, at the committee of the whole, we did talk about that one narrow parcel, and so is that spelled out in this, that is it going to be inside that jagged line? Maybe you can answer that.
Yes, thank you for that question. I've got a map here that I'll bring forward to each of you. The assumption that was made on the parcel behind the Taco Bell property that was excluded from that previously is shown on this diagram here. It is classified as commercial, that particular one. So it is the only property to the east of the corporate boundary, the current corporate boundary, that would be zoned, or be anticipated to be zoned for commercial use.
Right.
Did I read correctly in the master plan that was sent to us that it is actually calling the Heights a legacy or heritage village? Is it legacy?
It is listed as legacy neighborhood, correct, yes.
Any other questions? If not, roll call?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes. And the report.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone from the Heights community for their input on this project. We wouldn't have without your contribution. If you're welcome to stay, if you want, I'll hold. If anybody wants to leave, we can take a break for just 30 seconds if you want a chance to leave. But if you want to stay, you're welcome to stay.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, can I just say one thing? I just wanted to note that there were a few of us council members that attended the groundbreaking ceremonies at the Heights Community Center. And it's just, I just wanted to, say publicly, it's just a wonderful thing what they're doing there, and they're gonna be adding multi-purpose room, a couple classrooms, and maybe some even more of that. So it's just, it's really exciting to see that and how so many people came together to make that happen. It's just amazing. And so thanks everyone involved, including the township and all the donors.
I could not hear what you guys were saying. Are we gonna be all right in the Heights?
Yes. Yes.
I couldn't hear it.
Good to go, Brad. It's gonna all be good.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for taking our community into consideration. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. We'll move forward. Personnel committee.
We had a meeting tonight. I'll report on that at our next council meeting, but I did have one piece of legislation that's going to, we're going to put forward tonight. That would be resolution 59. And just a little backstory, we kind of moved quickly on this. I don't know if that all city council got the emails, but there was a bit of, there's a bit of code language that identifies that we would have one person that is denoted as the Director of Public Utilities. Clearly with our new hire and the transitory period, we have two. So we just wanted to make sure we were compliant with our code by stating that this is just a temporary position. So I had a resolution created to that. The administration did a great job of getting that around in a matter of a couple days. So appreciate that. So with that, I would like to introduce Resolution 59, 2022. My copy says 2021, so.
We will correct that before I sign it, sorry.
It's going to be Resolution 59, 2022, and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only and to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni? Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 59, 2022, a resolution permitting the city of Perrysburg to temporarily have two directors of public utilities and declaring an emergency.
I move that Resolution 59-2022 be passed as an emergency measure.
With the administrative change.
With the administrative change.
Discussion.
I just want to explain what the administrative change is.
Same difference.
Just
That's just a year, on our copy it says
Gotcha. All right.
Resolution
That's easy.
59, 2021. The administration is going to change that to Resolution 59-2022.
So it's not going to be changing to 3.
Yeah, all right. It is going to change to it too. I just want to make that clear.
And again, this is just simply so we're making sure we're compliant with the code.
A roll call.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Nothing further to report, thank you.
Thank you very much. Public utilities.
Thank you, Mayor. We did have a meeting this evening, but like Corey, I will report on that detail next month. Some legislation for July's city council meeting. I just want to make note to any of the citizens in the Grassy Creek area. I think Bridget Army is still set up to discuss the storm or standing of storm water in that area. Some of the residents,
Yes.
I know we talked about that. So anybody concerned about the storm water in that area, we are being prepared to discuss it with residents on July 27th at 6:30 p.m. So that is our next meeting. That's all I have.
Thank you. Service Committee.
Meeting was called to order at 5:30 by Chairperson Jim Attorney. Committee members present were Jim Attorney Mark Weber. Committee member Kevin Fuller was not present. Also present was Bridget Cabot, City Administrator, and Brian Thomas, City Engineer. Citizens concerned. Jason Mack, 1090 Westbrook Drive, had concerns about the intersection of Dixie Highway and West South Boundary Street. Committee will review this further during the discussion and entrance of Mr. Freeze later in the meeting. Approval of prior month's minutes. There being no objections, April 27th, 2022 were approved 2-0. Appointment of a student to fill a vacancy on lead prevention and recycling board. Jake Eng was recommended him to the litter board. Rock salt. Ms. Cabot explained that 2 bids were received for rock salt and that Compass Minerals were low bidder. Ms. Cabot stated that the city is not locked into the 4,000 tons and that the city only pays for what is delivered. And Ms. McTurney stated that it is a good price considering it includes haul rates. The city will store what it does not use for the next year. Committee agreed 2-0 to recommend this to the City Council for approval. Street lighting for Ocean Road MVP. Ms. Cabot stated that this lighting will go along Ocean Road from the railroad tracks west to the corner of Hall Parade. This is to light the bike path, not the roadway or the backyards of the homes along the path. Ms. Cabot explained that there will be a light distribution plan to make sure that they will not have to reduce the wattage and that it will not spill into the backyards. Mr. Weber stated that this is a very economical way to do it and that we are fortunate to not have to do any kind of underground trenching. Committee agreed 2-0 to recommend this to the City Council for approval. Discuss the right in, right out entrance from Mr. Freeze. Jason Mack, 1090 Westbrook is Westbrook by his neighbors Scott and Chris Middleton, 1078 Westbrook Drive. Mr. Mack has had to park at the end of his driveway and place a cone there so that Mr. Freeze does not use his driveway as a turnaround. He added that a lot of the U-turns have been happening in the middle of the intersection. It's only a matter of time before an accident occurs. Mr. Mack is also concerned that people get impatient, attempting to turn around and race down the street with a lot of little kids and dogs. They have contacted the police department for extra patrols. Mr. Mack, as well as Middleton's, have emailed the police chief and received very encouraging responses. Mr. Thomas can look at the Ohio Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Ms. Cabot and the Internal Traffic Committee will meet once Mr. Thomas is able to do some research. Mr. Mack suggests a sign in Westbrook indicating that there's a cul-de-sac ahead and the traffic can turn around there. Ms. Cabot stated that the administration will work on available options and solutions. Committee members thank the neighbors for coming in and expressing their concerns. Other business. Ms. Cabot stated that Rob Ross, Director of Public Service, has been working on getting roof replacement quotes for Schaller Memorial Building. Frogtown Roofing Plus of Maumee submitted the lowest quote. With the contingency, the total will be $38,200. Not a good day for reading. $38,200. And 75 was budgeted. Mr. Thomas explained that the city will only get charged for what it used. The committee agreed 2-0 to recommend this to City Council for approval. Ms. Materney asked for an update on bike paths, and Ms. Cabot explained that the master plan has been updated by a group including herself, Mr. Thomas, Rob Ross, and Brody Walters. They determined where they think bikeways should be and broke it down by what is installed and designed. Ms. Cabot will send the plan to all City Council members. Mr. Thomas added that he would like to check with TMCOG on what projects are happening just outside the city so they can potentially connect to those. Mr. Weber gave a shout out to the service department for their prep work on the great race and noted that they were on top of everything. Mr. Weber also mentioned he loves the new street signs in the historic district and they look great for all the visitors we had this week. He added that little things like the street signs set us apart from other cities. Mr. Weber mentioned that he received questions about ADA updates from business owners. Ms. Cabot stated that business doors are required by law to be ADA accessible. Ms. Cabot explained that the city will be taking care of ADA compliance up to the opening of the business structures, but that businesses will have to do any improvements on to their own structure. Mr. Weber asked if there's anything the city could do about the trees uptown that block signage and business awnings. Ms. Cabot answered that the ADA project could have some impact on the trees depending on the option that's picked. Mr. Weber asked what with Judy Hagan retiring, if the city will hire an arborist. Ms. Cabot stated that she'll be meeting next week with the service director and human resources manager to discuss the topic. Ms. Cabot stated that Ms. Hagan was not a trained arborist. Mr. Weber stated that with the Perrysburg being a tree city, he believes that warrants having a certified arborist on board. Mr. Weber circled back from safety committee regarding 3rd Street, Walnut Street parking. Ms. Cabot stated that the administration has not changed opinion on the 88 parking spots at this point in time. Mr. Weber, as well as other council members, would like to have more discussion before any work is done. Ms. Cabot does not want to wait too long as people are parking there illegally. The police chief is gathering an incident report for that intersection. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 6:18. I do have some legislation before the hearing tonight. First up is resolution, I'd like to introduce resolution 55-2022 and move that the rules and be suspended, allowed for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 55-2022. A resolution awarding a bid and agreement to Compass Minerals in the amount of $237,520 for road salt for the 2022-2023 snow season and declaring an emergency.
I move that resolution 55-2022 be passed as emergency resolution.
Second.
Discussion?
With this, how are we talking about snow now?
Roll call.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
I would like to introduce resolution 56-2022 and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 56, 2022, a resolution authorizing the purchase agreement with Frogtown Roofing Plus in an amount not to exceed $38,200 for the replacement of the roof on the Shaler Building and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to move that resolution 56-2022 be passed as emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion?
I do have a little discussion on this, I'm sorry, I apologize for not being at a committee meeting, we would probably ask these there, and they may have been asked, but is this pavilion being prominent?
I believe all of our projects are 50% projects.
Okay, I didn't know if there was a certain threshold or not on this.
I will double check.
Okay. Is there a question asked as to why, I guess the bids were so, look like they're about nearly $25,000 difference between the two?
The engineer did not comment on that.
Okay.
He checked all the quantities, everything, be within scope for both.
All right. Are there going to be any subcontractors, Frogtown, like the general contractors?
I do not know at this time until we have the pre-construction meeting, but I will make a note to myself to make sure we keep the council informed.
That's all.
I'd like to introduce resolution 57-2022 and move that the rules.
No, wait.
Oh, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry.
So we're done with discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
No.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce resolution 57-2022 and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Resolution 57, 2022, a resolution authorizing a purchase agreement with Toledo Edison in an amount not to exceed $35,000 for the purchase of 8 LED light posts along Robertson Road and declaring an emergency.
I'd like to move that resolution 57-2022 be passed as emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Coleman?
Yes.
Ms. Matroni?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
That is all I have at this time. I do believe, just a side note about Frontown, that one of the owners is here in town, please notice that. One of the contractors is notice that. We'll work with local business on that. Next meeting is July 27th at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you. As of any other business, I will point out one of the people I didn't mention specifically for the great races, Angela's company, and she's not getting bumped up the dais because of work on last Tuesday, because she did an outstanding job in food tent, making sure everything looks spectacular, and so we appreciate your work. Thank you. And any other business before council?
Yeah, one thing, Mayor, we had a concern from a resident, I just want to bring that up. I don't know if it's been addressed, but a resident complaining about the weeds on Echo Junction Road. I think we've all got the email.
I got some weeks, so we had some seeds, actually.
I just didn't know if we had looked into that. I think Bridget kind of mentioned something about that.
We are, I spoke to planning and zoning today as well. We have spoken to the property owner. There's limits to what we can do, because it's on private property and given what is happening, but we certainly are aware of it, and we're trying to facilitate some efforts to have the property owner take action to the extent they can to address that and resolve that in a private dispute. But we're certainly speaking with everybody and working on that. Thank you.
That was what I was gonna bring up, that's it.
All right, hearing nothing, no other business before council.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Hearing no opposition, we are adjourned. Thank